So I want to talk a little bit about, I'm 2 weeks out, I'm 1 week out from surgery, and I've been 2 weeks into my pre-operative diet, but I want to talk a little bit about some of the emotional and mental physical concerns that I have going into this, and like the changes. Like, okay, so there's a lot of different things being posted on NBC, like I think the majority of people who get this surgery are experiencing like the best weight loss of their lives and changes, it's all positive, right? But there are a certain amount of people who are not experiencing positive changes, and I kind of I've had to grapple with some of that, and I think being part of the group has been really helpful because I know what to expect and I know what I'm gonna need to do to deal with those things if they come, because I really just don't have, I'm a planner, and I like to know absolutely everything about what what I'm taking on, and even if it has negative aspects, I can take it on, even if as long as I understand what the negative could be, and then I have a plan for it, right? So one of the things that people post about is not having the level of weight loss that they were really expecting, and oh, I've only lost 14 pounds the first month and now I'm stalled already, and people were talking about the 3-week stall, it's a common thing, and someone said something really helpful, and that was that in the first 6 months after surgery, your body really is in a healing phase, and you're not really going to see, you may see a lot of weight loss. Some people do see a ton of weight loss, but some people don't. But you have to keep in mind that that you are in, your stomach is healing, your body is healing, and during those phases, it's going to do a range of things to protect itself. Part of it is that it's just trying to survive, and it may stall your weight loss because your body has the ability to put you, I know people call it starvation mode, and then I've also read somewhere that heavy people can't go into starvation mode. But the reality is that even our bodies are can reduce our metabolic rate, our resting metabolic rate, and so you're supposed to burn 75 calories per hour just doing nothing, right? That's 1,800 calories a day, but some of us can do 1,000 calories a day and not see any results. And so they did studies on Harvard patient, the people who did go look this up, but it was that a Harvard study on The Biggest Losers from the show, and how they struggled keeping the weight off after the show, and the level of exercise that they had to do, and they did tests on them that showed that their resting metabolic rate was lower than what it should be for a person of their size. And so your body has this amazing ability to control some of the factors. So when it feels like it's under threat, it may protect itself, and so the weight loss will stall occasionally, and people talk about stalls a lot on the Mexico Bariatric page, and how it's just kind of part of the process. You're going to have to just keep on the path, and trust your body and keep going, and so I feel like that's something I can handle, But even with their stalls, they're talking about how much weight they've lost, and they're losing on average somewhere between 10 pounds, something sorry about that, I lost my phone. They're losing somewhere on average about 10 pounds a month. You think about that, that is, in 1 year, that's 120 pounds. So even though it feels like a small amount to them compared to the numbers that they're seeing from other people who had received the surgery, that is a huge amount of weight. That's huge. And I'm I'm not gonna really measure any of that stuff until I'm a year out. I really want to just be my goal is a year, and I have 100 pounds to lose. So even if I lost 8 pounds a month, I would reach my goal. And while I obviously, anyone else, want to see it come off fast, the slow loss is the better loss. So going into it, whether it's fast loss or slow loss, it's a win either way. And that's how I'm going to look at it. The other aspect that people have talked about, some people, it's a very small amount, but I've seen posts on this group and another group, people talking about losing too much weight. and not being able to put weight on. And I think that is one of the dangers of this surgery, is that like if you aren't really struggling with your weight, like I'm 250 pounds, right? Like I've struggled with my weight my entire life. I was 180 in 8th grade. Like I think that, if you're like 175 and you just really want to get, like 60 pounds off or whatever the case may be, you might not be a good candidate for this surgery, because you think about it, like you are severely limiting your ability to eat. And if your body is not good at holding on to weight, like my body's great at holding on to weight, to fat and to muscle and everything, but if your body's not, you have a hard time keeping weight on, or not necessarily a hard time, but like you're not like really obese. You have the potential to become very severely underweight, and it sounds great until you look like a skeleton. And I saw one post where they were talking about that, like that their family, it really affected their home life and their family, because they lost so much weight, they look sick, and their family is very scared for them and reacts badly to it, and maybe doesn't react the right way, but rejects them. And I mean, you think about it, like this is a huge impact. There's a lot of people around you who, like on the one side, even if you're not someone who's going to become underweight, but like you've lost the weight, like there are a lot of people who are comfortable with you at the weight that you're at, and we may not realize how losing the weight would affect them and our relationship with them. And so there's a whole other side to this, friends, family, children, whatever the case may be, of people that may not be happy with you losing weight, and I think that's something to consider, because there's a very big emotional impact that could happen from losing people in your life that you've always had, because you've lost weight. And like I feel like there is a potential for me, like, and my husband, of course, for things to change. I look forward to the change, but I mean, there is a potential for that to change, and it's kind of scary. So I'm going into it with the belief that he and I, we have a strong enough relationship to get through that, whatever the case may be. But there's probably going to be hurdles that we have to get through together, and like my body will change, and maybe he doesn't realize even how much he likes my body heavier. Some guys like heavier bodies, and he likes it enough if he is with me. So there is that to consider as well. Someone else talked about like hormonal dumps. So a lot of hormones are stored up in your fat, and when you're going through all the weight loss, those hormones are released into your system. So crazy things can happen to you, like your period can go bonkers. Like if you didn't have one, you might get one. If you have one, you might lose one, like stop having one. You can have like huge emotional roller coasters, mood swings. You can go in depression. You can be super happy and energetic, and then also have depression. So just depending on sorry, my daughter came out to talk to me. But anyway, there's a lot of emotional challenges that that you may be facing doing this weight loss journey. So there's a whole other side to it. My daughter said to me, she gave me a big hug, and she's like, you're not gonna be warm anymore. She's 11. And I said, what do you mean warm? Like, you mean soft? She's like, no, like warm. Like, I'm like, soft? I don't know if she was trying to describe, but warm and soft is probably what she means, like that enveloping mother hug that I give her, where I'm all squishy and I just coat her. Like, I think she's concerned about, that I'm gonna change so much that I won't be like how I am now, which is a comfort for her. And so there is that to consider as well. My changes with my daughter, my child, my only child, and how that can affect our relationship. Now, do I think that that's something that should keep me heavy for the rest of my life? No, I don't. I think that it's important for me to show her that your health is, for a long life is more important. But it's still something that she and I will have to grapple with. And so I'll talk about that when I get there, cross that bridge when I get there. But, this is happening for sure. Like, none of these things would stop me from getting this surgery, but I'm not going to go into it blind. I know that there's going to be changes and issues, and I just have to be mentally and emotionally prepared to handle them. The therapy should help with that, but there's also a lot of people who, are just like, I've seen some instances, and I can't be sure because I don't know them in person, but I've seen some instances where people are showing, that they're not very healthy with their new lifestyle. Like, I'm talking about taking up drinking, drugs, maybe partying more. Like, you kind of feel like, if you were like me, like you grew up heavy, you might have held yourself back from doing a lot of things that, are fun, like living your life when you're young, because you were too shy to wear that cute dress to the concert or get in the pool. There's just, like, you hold yourself back from a lot of stuff, from your own, because of your own insecurity. It's not because anybody else is really like judging you for it, but because of your own insecurity and just that hate of being treated like you're a heavy person. There's a lot, and so people talk about like the changes, and then living a new life, and people treat them differently. Well, I could see how, like, going to the bar all of a sudden is like a fun thing, like for a girl, like, go get hit on by guys or whatever, like, and living those experiences that you feel like you missed out on when you were young. Now, I don't feel like I've ever